A fighter pilot climbs into the cockpit of an F-35 Lightning II, the most advanced fighter jet on the planet. But before takeoff, there's something unusual. The helmet on their head costs more than a Ferrari, $400,000, and it took 2 full days just to fit it properly. This isn't just protective gear. This helmet lets pilots see through the floor of their aircraft. It tracks enemies by following their gaze. And without it, the $78 million jet is just expensive metal. The fitting process is so precise that a simple haircut can ruin everything. So why does this helmet cost a fortune? And why does it take 48 hours to get it right? The answers will shock you. The F-35 Lightning II represents the cutting edge of American air power. It's a stealth fighter that dominates the skies, outsmarting and outmaneuvering anything thrown at it. But all that technology means nothing without one critical piece of equipment, the pilot's helmet. This isn't the kind of helmet you strap on and forget about. The Gen 3 helmet-mounted display system is a technological masterpiece that costs $400,000 per unit. That's right, one helmet costs more than most people's homes. And getting one fitted to a pilot's head takes 2 full days of precise measurements, laser scans, and calibrations that would make a Swiss watchmaker jealous. On aircraft carriers and air bases around the world, our men and women in uniform rely on this equipment to stay alive and complete their missions. The helmet doesn't just protect them, it gives them superhuman awareness of the battlefield. They can look through their own aircraft, target enemies without turning their heads, and process information faster than any pilot in history. So let's dive deep into why this helmet is so expensive, why it takes 48 hours to fit, and what makes it the most advanced piece of flight gear ever created. If you're proud of American military innovation, type "proud" in the comments below. Part 1. The cost of perfection. $400,000. That's the price tag on a single F-35 helmet. To put that in perspective, you could buy a Lamborghini Huracan or a modest house in many parts of America for the same amount. But this helmet isn't just expensive for the sake of being expensive. Every dollar goes into technology that keeps pilots alive and makes them the deadliest aviators on Earth. The helmet shell alone is a work of engineering art. It's made from a combination of Kevlar, the same material in bulletproof vests, and carbon fiber cloth. The carbon fiber is formed by applying resin under extreme heat to synthetic fibers, creating a checkerboard pattern you can actually see on the helmet. This pattern isn't just for looks. It's carbon fiber interlaced at 90-degree angles, making the material 50 times stronger than carbon steel while weighing only 4.8 pounds. Think about that. 50 times stronger than steel, but light enough that a pilot can wear it for hours during long missions without their neck giving out. Inside the helmet, there's even more complexity. The visor is made from a special polycarbonate that protrudes like a light bulb, giving pilots an incredibly wide field of view. Previous fighter helmets required pilots to attach separate night vision goggles and other equipment to external mounting points. The F-35 helmet integrates all of that seamlessly into one streamlined package. But the real cost comes from what's inside. The helmet isn't just a protective shell, it's a computer, a display system, a targeting mechanism, and a sensor suite all rolled into one. 6 infrared cameras mounted around the F-35 aircraft feed real-time video directly into the helmet. This system, called the Distributed Aperture System, gives pilots a 360-degree view of everything around them. When a pilot looks down, they don't see the cockpit floor. They see the ground below the aircraft. The camera is positioned underneath the jet feed imagery directly onto the helmet's visor. It's like having X-ray vision. Pilots can track threats below them, above them, behind them, anywhere. No blind spots, no turning around to check 6 o'clock. Just look, and the information is there. The helmet also includes integrated digital night vision. In the past, pilots had to wear bulky night vision goggles strapped to their helmets. Not anymore. The F-35 helmet projects night vision imagery directly onto the visor, allowing pilots to fly in complete darkness as if it were broad daylight. And then there's the targeting system. Pilots can designate targets simply by looking at them. The helmet tracks where their eyes are pointed and links that information to the aircraft's weapon systems. Look at an enemy fighter. The helmet registers it. The aircraft locks on. Fire. It's that simple. This technology has fundamentally changed air combat. All of this explains the price. You're not buying a helmet, you're buying a wearable fighter cockpit. Part 2. Why 2 days? So why does it take 2 full days to fit one of these helmets? The answer comes down to precision. Absolute, unforgiving precision. Day 1 starts with a head scan. Pilots sit in a special facility, usually at a major Air Force base like Luke Air Force Base in Arizona or Hill Air Force Base in Utah, where technicians use 3D laser scanning technology to map every contour of their skull. This isn't a quick process. The scan has to be perfect because even a millimeter of error can throw off the entire helmet. Once the scan is complete, technicians use the data to create a custom foam liner. For Marine Corps pilots, this liner is particularly important. It's a portable piece that fits inside any standard helmet shell, meaning the pilot can take it from squadron to squadron throughout their entire career. Air Force and Navy pilots get similar custom liners, though the exact process varies slightly between branches. This foam liner is cut by laser, not by hand, not by machine press, by laser. Why? Because the precision required is that extreme. The liner has to position the helmet on the pilot's head so that the optical sensors align perfectly with their eyes. If the helmet sits even slightly too high or too low, the display won't work correctly. Day 2 is all about the optics. This is where things get incredibly technical. Technicians bring out a device called a pupillometer. This tool measures the exact distance between the pilot's pupils down to 2 millimeters. Why does this matter? Because the helmet's display system projects images onto the visor in a way that both eyes see a single fused image. If the alignment is off, the pilot will see double. Or the image will be blurry, or worse, they'll get disoriented during flight, which is a fast way to crash a $78 million aircraft. After the pupillometer measurements, technicians adjust the helmet's optics to match the pilot's unique interpupillary distance. Every person's eyes are set slightly differently in their skull. The helmet has to account for that. Next comes the oxygen mask fitting. Fighter pilots don't just breathe regular air. At high altitudes, they need pressurized oxygen. The mask has to seal perfectly against their face with 0 leaks. Technicians run tests to make sure oxygen flows correctly and that the mask doesn't interfere with the visor. If the mask sits too close to the visor, it can bump into it when the pilot talks or moves their jaw. That would bend the visor, distorting the display. Finally, technicians check the helmet's center of gravity. This might sound minor, but it's crucial. When a pilot ejects from an F-35, the forces involved are extreme. If the helmet's weight isn't balanced correctly along the pilot's spine, the ejection could cause serious neck injuries. So the helmet has to sit perfectly, not just for comfort, but for survival. All of this takes time. 4 hours spread across 2 days. And even after the fitting is complete, the work isn't over. Every 105 days, the helmet gets inspected. Every 120 days, there's another fit check to make sure nothing has changed. Because here's the thing, a pilot's body changes. Gain a few pounds, the helmet might not fit right anymore. Get a new haircut? That can actually affect the fit too. The foam liner presses against the pilot's head in a very specific way, and even small changes can throw off the alignment. Before we go further, please take a second to like this video and subscribe. Over 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs you nothing but makes a huge difference to us. Part 3. Seeing through the aircraft. Let's talk about what this helmet actually does in combat. Because once you understand its capabilities, the 2-day fitting process and $400,000 price tag start to make a lot more sense. The F-35's distributed aperture system uses 6 infrared cameras positioned around the aircraft. One sits in front of the cockpit, another behind it. 4 more are mounted beneath the fuselage. Together, they create a seamless 360-degree view of the world outside the jet. When the pilot looks down, the cameras underneath the aircraft feed their imagery directly onto the helmet's visor. The pilot sees the ground, the ocean, enemy positions, whatever is below them. It's as if the aircraft has become invisible. This capability is a game changer in combat. In older fighters, pilots had to rely on instruments and radar to know what was happening below and behind them. If an enemy snuck up from underneath, the pilot might not see them until it was too late. Not with the F-35. Look down, and you see everything. The same system works for tracking threats. If an enemy aircraft approaches from behind, the pilot doesn't need to crane their neck around or check a radar screen. They just look in that direction, and the helmet shows them exactly where the threat is. The system even overlays information, speed, altitude, distance, threat level, right onto the visor. And it's not just about defense. The helmet's targeting system allows pilots to designate enemies simply by looking at them. In older jets, pilots had to maneuver the aircraft to point weapons at a target. Not anymore. Look at the target. The helmet registers your gaze. The aircraft's computer locks the weapons onto that exact point. Fire. Done. This technology has been tested extensively in combat situations. F-35 pilots have used it in real-world missions over hostile territory, and the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. Pilots describe it as having a godlike view of the battlefield. They can track multiple threats simultaneously, process information faster than any human could without the helmet, and make split-second decisions that save lives. One pilot compared it to having augmented reality overlaid onto the real world. It's like a video game, except the stakes are life and death. Part 4. The technology inside. So, what exactly is packed into this helmet? Let's break it down piece by piece. First, there's the helmet-mounted display system itself. This is a binocular display, meaning it projects images to both eyes simultaneously. The images are perfectly synchronized, so the pilot sees one clear picture, not a confusing double image. The display shows flight information, airspeed, altitude, heading, rate of climb, along with tactical data like enemy positions, friendly aircraft locations, and weapons status. All of this information used to be displayed on a heads-up display mounted on the aircraft's windscreen. Pilots had to glance away from the action to check their instruments. With the F-35 helmet, the information follows their gaze. Look anywhere, and the data is right there in your field of view. Next, there's the night vision system. Traditional night vision goggles amplify existing light, but they're bulky and limit peripheral vision. The F-35 helmet uses infrared cameras to create a digital night vision image that's projected onto the visor. The result is a clearer, wider view that doesn't require any extra equipment strapped to the pilot's head. Then there's the integration with the aircraft's sensor suite. The F-35 has some of the most advanced sensors ever put on a fighter jet. Radar, infrared tracking, electronic warfare systems. All of that data feeds into the helmet. The pilot doesn't have to look at multiple screens or interpret raw sensor data. The helmet synthesizes everything and presents it in an intuitive, easy-to-understand format. The helmet also includes line-of-sight tracking based on head movement. Sensors inside the helmet detect where the pilot is looking and relay that information to the aircraft's computer. This allows for incredibly precise targeting. In dogfights, every millisecond counts. Being able to target an enemy just by looking at them gives F-35 pilots a massive advantage. And because the helmet is custom-fitted, it stays stable even during extreme maneuvers. Fighter pilots pull high G-forces during combat, sometimes up to 9 times the force of gravity. A poorly fitted helmet would slide around, making the display useless and potentially injuring the pilot. The custom fit ensures the helmet stays exactly where it needs to be, no matter what. Part 5. Aircraft Carrier Operations. Now, let's talk about aircraft carriers. The title mentions fitting these helmets on carriers, so it's important to understand how carrier operations factor into this. The F-35 comes in 3 variants. The F-35A is the Air Force version, designed for traditional runways. The F-35B is the Marine Corps version, capable of short takeoffs and vertical landings, and the F-35C is the Navy version, built specifically for aircraft carriers. The F-35C has several modifications for carrier use. Its wings are larger to provide more lift at lower speeds, which is crucial for carrier landings. The landing gear is reinforced to handle the violent impact of landing on a moving ship, and the wingtips actually fold up to save space on the crowded carrier deck. But here's the thing about the helmet fitting, it doesn't happen on the carrier. The 2-day fitting process takes place at specialized pilot fit facilities on land, usually at major Air Force bases. These facilities have the laser scanning equipment, pupillometers, and trained technicians needed to fit the helmets correctly. Once a pilot's helmet is fitted, it goes with them wherever they deploy, including onto aircraft carriers. Marine Corps pilots get a portable foam liner that can fit into any helmet shell, making it easier to move between different aircraft or squadrons. Navy pilots have similar systems. On the carrier itself, aircrew flight equipment technicians maintain the helmets. They conduct regular inspections every 105 days and perform fit checks every 120 days. If something goes wrong, if the helmet gets damaged or the fit changes significantly, the pilot may need to return to a land-based facility for a complete refit. That's a logistical challenge, but it's necessary to ensure the helmet works perfectly. Carrier operations add another layer of complexity. The environment is harsh. Salt air corrodes electronics. The constant movement of the ship means equipment takes a beating, and space is limited, so maintenance has to be done efficiently. Despite these challenges, the F-35 helmet performs flawlessly. Navy and Marine Corps pilots operating from carriers have praised the helmet's capabilities. It gives them the same advantages as their Air Force counterparts: 360-degree awareness, integrated night vision, and precision targeting, all while dealing with the added difficulty of landing on a moving ship in the middle of the ocean. In recent years, we've seen remarkable examples of international cooperation, U.S. Marine Corps F-35Bs have operated from British Royal Navy carriers like HMS Prince of Wales. These joint operations demonstrate the versatility of the F-35 and its helmet system. American pilots can land on Allied carriers, refuel, and take off again without missing a beat. The helmet works the same whether you're on a U.S. carrier, a British carrier, or an amphibious assault ship. Part 6. The development story. The F-35 helmet didn't appear overnight. Its development was long, difficult, and at times controversial. Early in the F-35 program, the helmet faced serious problems. Pilots reported issues with the display, jittery images, latency, and discomfort. Some pilots experienced neck strain from the helmet's weight distribution. Others complained about the night vision system not working as advertised. These problems delayed the entire F-35 program. The Joint Program Office, which oversees the F-35, had to make tough decisions. They brought in Rockwell Collins and Elbit Systems, two companies with deep expertise in helmet-mounted displays, to form a joint venture called Collins-Elbit Vision Systems. This partnership led to the development of the Gen 3 helmet, the version used today. The Gen 3 fixed many of the earlier problems. The display became smoother and more responsive. The weight distribution improved. The night vision system was completely redesigned. But it wasn't easy. Engineers had to balance competing demands. The helmet needed to be lightweight, but it also had to house complex electronics. It needed to be durable enough for combat, but precise enough to maintain perfect alignment with the pilot's eyes. And it had to integrate seamlessly with the F-35 sensor systems. The result is a helmet that has now been delivered over 3,000 times. In February 2024, Collins Elbit Vision Systems announced the delivery of the 3,000th Gen 3 helmet. That's 3,000 pilots around the world, American, British, Italian, Australian, and others, flying with this technology. The helmet continues to evolve. In 2022, the company added organic light-emitting diode displays to improve image quality. Future upgrades are already in the works, incorporating even more advanced sensors and display technology. Our military doesn't settle for good enough. They demand the best. And the F-35 helmet represents that commitment to excellence. Part 7. Real-world impact. So what does all this technology mean in the real world? How does it actually help our pilots? The F-35 has been deployed in combat zones around the globe. American pilots have flown missions over hostile territory, relying on the helmet to keep them safe and complete their objectives. And the results speak for themselves. The helmet's 360-degree awareness means pilots can't be surprised. They see threats before those threats see them. In air combat, that's often the difference between life and death. The integrated targeting system allows pilots to engage multiple enemies quickly. In older jets, targeting took time. You had to maneuver the aircraft, lock on, fire, then move to the next target. With the F-35 helmet, pilots can track several threats at once and engage them in rapid succession. The night vision capability extends mission times. Pilots can fly in total darkness with the same confidence they'd have during the day. This gives our military a significant advantage, allowing operations at times when enemy forces are less prepared, and the helmet's information display reduces pilot workload. Instead of constantly checking instruments and radar screens, pilots get all the information they need projected right in front of their eyes. This frees up mental bandwidth, allowing them to focus on tactics and decision-making. Pilots who fly the F-35 often describe it as the easiest fighter to fly, but the hardest to master. The aircraft handles beautifully, and the helmet makes basic operations simple. But using the helmet's full capabilities, tracking multiple targets, synthesizing sensor data, managing weapons systems, requires extensive training and experience. That's why the 2-day fitting process is so important. The helmet has to work perfectly from day one. There's no room for error. Our pilots train for years to master the F-35, and the helmet is central to that training. Part 8. The future. Looking ahead, the F-35 helmet represents just the beginning. The technology developed for this helmet is already being adapted for other uses. The Department of Defense is exploring applications for special operations forces. Imagine ground troops with helmet-mounted displays that give them the same situational awareness as F-35 pilots, or helicopter crews with integrated night vision and targeting systems. There's even interest from civilian sectors. Firefighters could use similar helmets to see through smoke and locate people in burning buildings. Search and rescue teams could benefit from the integrated sensor displays, but the core technology will continue to serve our military first and foremost. Future versions of the helmet will likely include even more advanced features. Artificial intelligence could help pilots process information faster. Augmented reality could overlay mission-critical data in even more intuitive ways. The F-35 program plans to purchase over 2,000 more aircraft between now and 2044. Every one of those jets will need a helmet, and every one of those helmets will require the same 2-day fitting process and the same $400,000 investment. Because at the end of the day, the helmet isn't just a piece of equipment. It's life insurance for the men and women who put their lives on the line to protect our freedom. Conclusion. The F-35 helmet costs $400,000 and takes 2 full days to fit. Those facts might sound excessive at first. But once you understand the technology involved, the laser-cut foam liners, the pupillometer measurements, the infrared cameras, the integrated display systems, it all makes sense. This helmet gives American pilots an advantage that no enemy can match. It lets them see through their aircraft, track multiple threats simultaneously, target enemies with a glance, fly in total darkness, and process information faster than any human could without assistance. The 2-day fitting process ensures that every pilot gets a helmet that works perfectly for them. Because in combat, there are no second chances. The helmet has to fit right. The optics have to align perfectly. The center of gravity has to be exact. Our military doesn't cut corners. They invest in the best technology, the best training, and the best equipment. The F-35 helmet is proof of that commitment. So the next time you see an F-35 screaming across the sky, remember what's inside that cockpit. A pilot wearing a $400,000 helmet that took 2 days to fit. A helmet that gives them superhuman awareness and makes them the deadliest aviator on the planet. If you found this fascinating, hit that like button and subscribe for more content about American military technology. We appreciate your support.